Why does she go silent, even when she's deeply in love? It's a question that has baffled partners for ages, stirring up a whirlwind of confusion and anxiety. You might find yourself staring at your phone, wondering what went wrong, or if you somehow messed things up. But what if her silence isn't a red flag, but a complex tapestry of signals, sometimes even a testament to the depth of her feelings? Silence, in the landscape of love, is rarely just an absence of sound. It's a powerful, multifaceted form of communication, often carrying more weight than 1,000 words. To truly understand why she might retreat into quietude, even when her heart is still invested, we need to unravel the various forms her silence can take, the nuances of her quiet world. 5 shades of silence. Imagine navigating a relationship where silence isn't just one thing, but a spectrum of unspoken messages. Experts break down these silences into distinct types, each revealing a unique emotional state and calling for a tailored response. First, there's the silence of disappointment or despair. This isn't just a quiet moment. It's a blaring alarm, signaling that the relationship might be teetering on the edge of collapse. Picture conversations that once flowed effortlessly, now replaced by heavy, drawn-out lulls. This is often the quiet aftermath of numerous attempts to improve things, efforts that were met with failure and ultimately crushing disappointment. One or both partners might be too exhausted, too hurt, or too jaded to try anymore, settling into a quiet resignation rather than seeking change. This silence often speaks volumes about shattered trust and depleted hope, hinting at a critical need for either professional intervention or a respectful parting of ways. It's the eerie calm that settles after too many emotional storms have already passed, leaving a trail of wreckage in their wake. It's the sound of a heart slowly turning cold, not out of anger, but from sheer emotional fatigue. Then we encounter the silent treatment, a cold, calculated wall. This is where silence transforms into a weapon, a deliberate cutoff of communication designed to punish or inflict discomfort. We've all seen it, or perhaps even used it. A partner feeling wounded or let down decides to go radio silent for days, sometimes even weeks. Their aim might be to make you feel the pain they're experiencing, to give you a taste of your own medicine. While it can offer the silent party a temporary sense of control or a distorted perception of justice, this tactic is, in the long run, a corrosive force that erodes trust and deepens misunderstandings. It builds impenetrable walls rather than fostering connection, creating gaping cracks in the relationship's foundation. This refusal to engage, to communicate, or even to acknowledge another's presence often stems from an inability or unwillingness to articulate feelings directly. Turning withdrawal into a passive-aggressive act of war. Next is the silence of emotional processing, often deeply misunderstood. This type of quietude isn't about punishing you. It's about self-preservation and careful emotional management. Think of it as an internal storm brewing, a whirlwind of intense emotions or tangled negative thoughts. When overwhelmed, she might retreat into silence to process everything, not to shut you out, but to sort through her emotional chaos before re-engaging. Her intention is to avoid saying or doing something impulsive that could cause further harm to you or the relationship itself. This silence is a temporary, necessary retreat to find equilibrium, a pause to gather her thoughts and feelings before she can communicate effectively. The crucial element here is for her to convey this need for space and time, even if it's as simple, "I need a few hours to myself to think." Without that heads up, this well-intentioned quiet can easily be misread as avoidance or indifference, leaving you to spiral into anxiety and overthinking. Moving to a more positive note, we have the comfortable silence. Ah, a breath of fresh air. This is the kind of silence that's not just normal, but truly essential for a healthy, mature relationship. It's the peaceful quiet that settles when all has been said and done, when there's no urgent need for more words. Imagine sitting side by side, each engrossed in your own worlds, reading, working, or simply existing, yet feeling completely connected and at ease. This silence isn't awkward or tense. It's a shared tranquility that speaks volumes about comfort, security, and deep companionship. It signifies that your bond is so strong, her mere presence is enough to fill the space. This type of quiet allows for rest, for slowing down, for simply being together without the constant pressure to perform or entertain. If this silence feels uncomfortable, it might be a subtle hint that there's still work to be done in building that effortless connection. Finally, the pinnacle, the silence of deep presence. This is the holy grail of silent communication, the zenith of a truly mature and profound connection. It's a silence where words are utterly unnecessary because the connection is felt on a deeper, almost spiritual level. You don't need to speak. You simply are together, and that shared presence is a powerful affirmation of love and belonging. It's about feeling intrinsically linked, understanding each other without a single word. This is the quiet you find while watching the sunset together, simply absorbing each other's presence. It signifies a relationship built on mutual understanding, deep empathy, and an unspoken sense of belonging. Achieving this level of silent presence requires practice, beginning with the comfort of normal silence and gradually deepening into an almost telepathic understanding. It's a profound gift, a quiet testament to a love that transcends the need for constant verbal validation. Why the quiet? Unpacking the reasons behind her silence, beyond the types of silence, understanding the root causes is crucial. Her quiet isn't a mystery box without a key. There are often profound reasons, some stemming from her inner world, others from the dynamics of your shared journey. Sometimes, she's simply feeling overwhelmed or needing space. Life, with its relentless demands, can throw too much her way. Work stress, family issues, personal challenges. When she's inundated, silence becomes her coping mechanism, a way to create mental breathing room. This isn't about you. It's her internal processing, a need to sort through the chaos. Pushing her to talk when she's in this state can backfire, making her feel even more suffocated. She might simply need time to reconnect with herself and understand her feelings before she can articulate them. Respecting this need, without making her feel rushed, often encourages her to open up when she's genuinely ready. Another common reason is avoiding escalation and arguments. She might be incredibly upset or frustrated, but she's reached a point where she feels that continued talking will only worsen the situation. Perhaps past arguments have been unproductive, or she feels persistently unheard when she expresses herself. In these moments, silence is a conscious choice to cool down, or to allow you to cool down, hoping to find a better, less confrontational way to communicate her feelings later. It's a tactical retreat, a sign that she prioritizes de-escalation over immediate confrontation, even if it leaves you in agonizing limbo. Perhaps she's feeling unheard or undervalued. Imagine constantly expressing your feelings, needs, or concerns, only for them to be dismissed, ignored, or brushed aside. Eventually, you stop speaking. This is a common trigger for a woman's silence. She feels her voice hasn't been heard or respected. Instead of endlessly repeating herself, she chooses silence, hoping this stronger, albeit painful, message will finally register. It's a desperate plea for you to truly notice, to take her feelings seriously, and to genuinely listen. Research emphasizes that feeling heard through voice, attention, empathy, respect, and common ground is fundamentally crucial for healthy relationships. When these elements are absent, silence becomes her reluctant, painful megaphone. If she's been hurt before, either by you or in past relationships, her silence can be a powerful act of protecting her vulnerable heart. She might retreat into herself, believing that keeping quiet is the safest option to avoid further emotional pain. This isn't about manipulation. It's about guarding a wounded spirit. She might be waiting for reassurance, a clear signal that it's safe to open up again without the crushing risk of being hurt. This deep vulnerability, masked by silence, is a quiet test of your patience and genuine care. Sometimes, her silence signals a deeper internal struggle, uncertainty about the relationship's future. She might be quietly reflecting on whether things are truly working out, weighing the pros and cons, and needing significant time to think before making any significant decisions about commitment, compatibility, or shared futures. This kind of silence is heavy, filled with unspoken questions. While it doesn't always spell the end, it certainly indicates a critical juncture where she's evaluating the very foundation of your connection. Paradoxically, her silence can sometimes be a subtle invitation to connect. She might be waiting for you to step up and initiate the conversation, to ask how she's feeling, to check in, or to show genuine concern. This is her way of gauging your level of care and attention, seeing if you're willing to make the first move, to bridge the gap. It's a delicate dance. Too much pressure can backfire, but a gentle, empathetic inquiry can unlock the very conversation she's secretly hoping for. It's a subtle test of your attentiveness and emotional initiative, a silent dare for you to prove your interest. One of the most profound reasons for her silence is disappointment and unfulfilled promises. When a woman truly loves, she invests deeply, offering loyalty and emotional support. But if she's repeatedly met with disappointment, forgotten anniversaries, broken promises, a general lack of effort, or feeling abandoned in her emotional turmoil, her vibrant engagement can slowly transform into a weary, defeated silence. This isn't a quick temper. It's the quiet erosion of hope, the slow, agonizing death of expectation. Each unfulfilled promise, each dismissive act, chips away at her spirit until she no longer has the energy to voice her complaints. This silence is the culmination of cumulative hurt, a sign that her emotional well has run dry. It's a silent announcement that she's reached her absolute limit and is now profoundly considering whether the relationship is worth the continuous pain. It's her ultimate form of resistance, a quiet surrender. Closely related is a perceived lack of respect. Respect is the absolute bedrock of any healthy relationship. When a woman feels disrespected, whether through public criticism, constant comparison to others, disregard for her time and feelings, or aggressive behavior, her emotional connection begins to fray. Even if you offer apologies, the cracks in trust remain and deepen. Silence in this context is a withdrawal of her emotional investment, a quiet dignity in the face of perceived disrespect. It's her way of saying without words that she deserves better, and that the emotional cost of staying engaged is simply too high. Over time, if a relationship lacks consistent emotional nurturing, if one partner becomes consistently cold or aloof, affection can simply fade, leading to indifference. You might be busy with work or navigating a period of personal emotional exhaustion, but the consequence is a growing distance. When her proactive efforts to keep the spark alive are met with sustained indifference, she eventually stops trying. This silence is not born of anger or active disappointment, but of a quiet, sad acceptance that the emotional connection has cooled beyond repair. It's a profound shift, a subtle drifting away that can signify she's begun to reevaluate her own worth and the value of a relationship where her love is no longer reciprocated. She might not be seeking revenge. She's simply acknowledging her self-worth and letting go of a connection that no longer serves her. Emotional well-being in the perplexing labyrinth of modern dating. Many find themselves caught in the situationship trap. This is a relationship without a clear label or commitment, often existing in a nebulous space between friendship and romance. This inherent ambiguity itself breeds silence. Her quietness might stem from the constant nagging insecurity of not knowing where she stands. Is she your girlfriend, a casual fling, or just someone to fill a temporary void. The inconsistent behavior, warm one moment, distant the next, and the unspoken future plans lead to a constant state of anxiety and emotional whiplash. She might be silent because she's wrestling with the emotional turmoil of this undefined connection, feeling caught in a relentless loop of hope and disappointment. This particular silence is a direct consequence of the lack of clear communication and commitment, forcing her to protect herself from further emotional exploitation. Finally, a note on the deep woman's nuance. A woman of profound depth, intelligence, and self-awareness often approaches relationships with a discerning, almost clinical eye. Her silence is rarely accidental or manipulative. It stems from a place of high standards for genuine connection and an unwavering refusal to settle for superficiality. She is perceptive, quickly seeing through insincerity or games. Her directness and intense desire for authentic emotional connection can be intimidating to men who are not ready for such profound intimacy. She seeks deep understanding, a partner willing to explore emotional depths rather than skimming the surface. If she falls silent, it might be because she senses a fundamental misalignment, a lack of readiness for the authentic, intense connection she craves. Her fierce independence means she won't cling to a relationship that doesn't meet her elevated standards for genuine partnership and mutual growth. The heavy cost, impact of her silence, the impact of a woman's silence, especially when prolonged or unexplained, can be devastating to a relationship and to the person on the receiving end. It creates a vacuum where confusion, anxiety, and guilt thrive. Minor issues can balloon into insurmountable problems, festering in the oppressive absence of open communication. This emotional void relentlessly erodes the very foundation of trust, leading to a widening, seemingly unbridgeable emotional chasm between partners. When silence is used as a deliberate silent treatment, it becomes an insidious tool of manipulation and control. This tactic can inflict far deeper wounds than any verbal argument, leaving the recipient feeling isolated, dismissed, and profoundly disrespected. Over time, this psychological warfare can lead to profound emotional exhaustion, crippling self-doubt, and even contribute to serious mental health issues like anxiety and depression. It's a form of emotional abuse that, even if unintentional on the part of the silent person, leaves deep, lasting scars the person experiencing the silence can feel. Trapped in a relentless whirlwind of negative emotions, unable to find a resolution or even a point of engagement. The agonizing lack of clarity surrounding the silence leads to relentless overthinking and debilitating self-blame, compounding the emotional pain. In close relationships like marriage, this persistent, unresolved silence can lead to a complete breakdown of intimacy and connection, ultimately pushing the relationship to the brink of collapse. It's not just a warning sign of trouble. It's a powerful destructive catalyst for relational decay. Studies even suggest that this kind of chronic emotional distress can manifest as real, physical pain, mirroring how the brain processes actual physical injury. This is why many feel their heart literally aches or their body feels heavy when faced with prolonged silence. Breaking the quiet. How to respond when she goes silent. Navigating her silence requires a delicate blend of patience, empathy, and strategic action. It's not about finding a quick fix, but about fostering genuine understanding and meticulously rebuilding trust, brick by painstaking brick. First and foremost, don't panic and absolutely do not jump to conclusions. Your immediate reaction might be to spiral into anxiety, assuming the absolute worst-case scenario. But remember, as we've explored, silence can stem from a myriad of reasons, not all of them negative or even about you personally. Resist the overpowering urge to overanalyze every word or action that led to her quietness. Instead, take a deep, grounding breath. Staying calm allows you to approach the situation with clarity and thoughtfulness, rather than being swept away by emotional reactivity. Assuming the worst can lead to unnecessary stress and, ironically, push her further away. Her silence might be unrelated to your relationship entirely, or it could simply be a sign that she desperately needs time to process. Secondly, give her space, but check in gently. Your initial instinct might be to bombard her with questions, desperate for an answer, but this can make her feel intensely pressured and cause her to withdraw even further. Respect her profound need for solitude. Give her the time and psychological space she genuinely requires to process her emotions or thoughts. However, this doesn't mean you disappear entirely into the ether. A simple, gentle message like, "I'm here if you want to talk, whenever you're ready, no pressure at all," can make a world of difference. This thoughtful gesture shows her you care without overwhelming her, reassuring her that you're present and supportive when she's ready to re-engage. You can give her a few days to herself, but be wary of prolonged silence on your end, as this can inadvertently exacerbate the emotional distance between you. Third, engage in reflection on recent interactions without blaming yourself unduly. Take an honest, introspective look back at your recent conversations, arguments, and actions. Could something you said or did, even unintentionally, have contributed to her pulling away? This isn't about self-flagellation or taking on all the blame, but rather about gaining a crucial perspective. Perhaps you unintentionally made her feel unheard, disrespected, or deeply disappointed. Self-reflection can help you understand her perspective more deeply and provide a far more sensitive and informed foundation for any future conversations. Fourth, offer unconditional emotional support. Even if she's not ready to engage verbally, knowing that you're truly there for her, willing to listen without judgment or immediate demands, can provide immense comfort. Show her, even from a distance, that you're her unwavering ally, her safe harbor. This might manifest as a quiet, comforting gesture, a consistent and supportive presence, or simply expressing your clear willingness to listen whenever she's ready to share her inner world. Your role here is to be a steady, reliable source of support, not to immediately jump in as a problem solver or fixer. Fifth, try not to take it personally, at least not initially. It's incredibly easy to feel rejected, hurt, or even attacked when someone you care about goes silent. But remember, her silence might be more about her internal struggles, external pressures, or deeply ingrained coping mechanisms than it is a direct personal affront to you. Extend to her the benefit of the doubt. Reacting defensively or with immediate anger will only add unnecessary tension and further complicate the situation. Approaching the situation with understanding and a willingness to explore possibilities can prevent unnecessary conflict. This takes significant emotional maturity and practice, but reminding yourself that her silence might not be a personal attack helps create a much safer and more inviting space for her eventual return. Sixth, when she finally does engage, express understanding, not demands. When she's ready to communicate, approach the conversation with profound empathy. Acknowledge her feelings and her legitimate need for space and time. Crucially, avoid making the conversation solely about your urgent need for answers or immediate explanations. Instead, convey that you truly understand she needed her time, and that you're now open and ready to listen to her thoughts and feelings without rushing, pressuring, or demanding. This empathetic and non-demanding approach fosters trust and genuinely encourage open, honest communication. Seventh, be prepared to adjust your behavior, especially if you're the cause. If your honest reflection reveals that your actions or inactions significantly contributed to her silence, demonstrate a genuine willingness to change and improve. This means far more than just offering empty promises. It requires concrete, visible action. If she felt disrespected, make a conscious effort to show more appreciation and listen actively. If she felt neglected, prioritize spending quality time and being truly present. These adjustments show her, in the most tangible way possible, that you value her feelings and are deeply committed to nurturing the relationship. This is especially vital when her silence stems from repeated disappointment or a chronic lack of respect. Eighth, once a degree of calm has returned and there's an opening, initiate honest, open dialogue when appropriate. After the immediate emotional storm has subsided, it's crucial to have a frank and honest conversation about the underlying issue. Choose a time when both of you are relaxed, emotionally stable, and can speak openly without interruption or heightened emotion. Express your feelings without blame or accusation, and genuinely encourage her to do the same. This dialogue isn't just about resolving the immediate conflict. It's about establishing healthy communication principles and boundaries for the future. You might even collaboratively set new rules or agreements to prevent similar silences from recurring, emphasizing that true resolution requires both parties to voice their concerns and engage constructively. Ninth, know when to seek external help for prolonged or deeply entrenched silences or when communication breaks down repeatedly. Despite your best efforts, do not hesitate to seek professional help. A couples counselor or a therapist can provide a neutral, objective perspective and equip both of you with invaluable effective communication and conflict resolution skills. Sometimes an impartial third party is absolutely necessary to help untangle complex emotional knots and guide you toward healthier interaction patterns. This is particularly relevant when the silence has become a chronic issue, a manipulative tool, or when past hurts are too deep for self-resolution. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, set boundaries for yourself and prioritize your own well-being. If the silence is a persistent and toxic pattern, especially if it's a form of the silent treatment used for manipulation and control, you must set clear boundaries to protect your own mental and emotional health. This means clearly communicating your limits. I understand you need space, but I cannot endure prolonged silence without communication. If there's a problem, we need to talk to resolve it, not shut down. And if, despite your most sincere and consistent efforts, the other person remains unwilling to engage constructively or change their pattern, it might, heartbreakingly, be time to reevaluate the relationship's viability. Realizing when it's time to let go for your own sake and mental peace is an ultimate act of self-love and self-preservation. Remember, a truly healthy and fulfilling relationship fundamentally requires effort, communication, and mutual respect from both sides. You undeniably deserve a connection where your feelings are acknowledged, validated, and genuinely respected. Connecting with reality and the gender communication divide. Understanding silence isn't just about applying a generic checklist. It's about appreciating the profound, often subtle, differences in how men and women tend to communicate. While individual experiences and societal norms play a huge role, psychological insights highlight some general patterns that can illuminate these quiet moments. Often, women inherently use communication as a tool to build and strengthen social connections, focusing deeply on intimacy, empathy, and emotional understanding. Men, on the other hand, may lean towards using language more to establish status efficiently, solve problems, or achieve tangible, concrete outcomes. When conflicts inevitably arise, women might express more, sometimes with hesitation or a polite softening of language, while men might gravitate towards finding quick solutions or, conversely, avoiding the discussion altogether to prevent what they perceive as unnecessary further conflict. This isn't a judgment. It's a recognition of different communication dialects that can easily lead to misinterpretations. As insightful authors like John Gray, of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus fame, and Deborah Tannen, You Just Don't Understand, have compellingly articulated, these fundamental differences in communication styles profoundly shape how we interpret silence. A man, accustomed to communication as a means to an end, might interpret silence as a lack of information, a problem that needs fixing, or even outright indifference. A woman whose communication style often places a premium on emotional connection and relational harmony might use silence as a deeply emotional, resonant signal, a withdrawal of connection, an impenetrable shield, or a desperate, unheard cry for understanding. For instance, when a man goes quiet, it could simply be his way of internally processing information before he feels ready to speak, or a calculated sign that he doesn't want to engage in what he perceives as a fruitless or emotionally draining argument. For a woman, however, her silence, especially if she is typically expressive and communicative, can be a profoundly powerful statement. It can signify that her heart has begun to grow cold, that she has quietly given up hope, or that she is simply too deeply hurt and emotionally exhausted to articulate her feelings anymore. This is precisely why a woman's prolonged silence, particularly in a long-term relationship or marriage, is often perceived as far more alarming and indicative of deep trouble than her tears, complaints, or even heated arguments. The tears and complaints, painful as they may be, often indicate an ongoing emotional investment, a persistent desire for change, and a belief that things can still improve. The silence, by stark contrast, often suggests emotional disinvestment and profound detachment. It's a poignant, stark reminder that what might initially seem like peace or quiet to one person, the blessed absence of nagging or complaining, can, to the other, be the slow, agonizing dissolution of love itself. When she stops fighting, stops nagging, stops caring enough to even be visibly upset, that's often when the true, silent danger looms largest. The resulting lack of interaction isn't peaceful. It's the relentless eroding of intimacy, connection, and the very spirit of the relationship. Furthermore, consider the intriguing case of the deep woman, a woman who is profoundly self-aware, intellectually sharp, and fiercely independent. Her silence is rarely accidental, impulsive, or manipulative in nature. Instead, it typically stems from a place of exceptionally high standards for genuine connection and an unyielding refusal to settle for superficiality. She possesses a keen perception, easily discerning insincerity, triviality, or game playing, and will naturally and decisively retreat if she doesn't find the emotional or intellectual depth she intrinsically craves. Her formidable independence means she won't rely on a partner for her sense of self-worth or happiness, making her significantly less likely to tolerate a relationship where her profound emotional and intellectual needs are consistently unmet or ignored. So when a deep woman goes silent, it's often a clear and compelling sign that she's engaged in a profound internal evaluation, and if the relationship ultimately falls short of her genuine requirements for partnership, she will, with quiet conviction and dignity, decisively move on. This is not a tactic. It is her truth. Conclusion: silence in a relationship, far from being simple, is a complex, nuanced language, richly woven with unspoken messages and layered meanings. Whether it's a temporary, necessary retreat for self-preservation, a painful, albeit destructive, weapon of punishment, or the quiet, profound testament to a deep and mature connection, understanding its myriad nuances is absolutely paramount. Don't rush to judgment, and resist the urge to desperately fill the void with anxious assumptions. Instead, approach her silence with unwavering patience, profound empathy, and a genuine, heartfelt desire to understand the silent signals she is sending. By learning to decipher these quiet, powerful cues, you can transform moments of unsettling quietude into invaluable opportunities for deeper connection, stronger, more resilient trust, and a love that truly thrives even in its quietest, most vulnerable moments. And sometimes, in the most difficult of situations, knowing when silence truly means goodbye is the kindest, most respectful act for all involved.